Hey, Katrina here from Scrappy Horses. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So happy you dropped by. Today, I want to share with you some things that I've learned about the offset feature in Cricut Design Space. I want to show you how I use this feature for a couple of different parts of my card, and how I created an inset look by using the offset feature. So let's get started. This card is made using a beautiful little digi from Connie Fong called Sunflower Bouquet. And I also nabbed a sentiment from Hello Sweet Friend, and that bundle is also from Connie Fong. So you'll find the links below in the description box where you can find those. So let's get started. First, I imported this image from Connie Fong, again, Sunflower Bouquet, and sized it. I decided then that I wanted to offset it. So see here how I have this offset? So what I did is I simply left-clicked my image, went up here to the offset button, left-click. I'm going to use a corner here, a rounded corner, and not a sharp corner, okay? Now, weld offsets. The reason that's coming up here is because I have watermarked this. I put Connie Fong's name across here. They are wondering if I want them to offset these together as one, or if I want to offset it as two separate. If I click that, you'll notice what it does here. It's going to try to offset both the watermark and offset this. I don't know if you can see all those little marks right in here. So we don't want this to be confusing. So let's just weld that. You'll notice later it doesn't show up. Now, if I want to change the size of this offset, I can come up. I'm going to left click that dot. I'm going to go to my keyboard and I can move it down gradually until I get to the size I like. All right. I like that 0.056, and I hit apply. Now it is important for me that I get the color that I want on this, because it is going to be a print and cut. I'm going to join it to this and print and cut it as one piece. So I come up to this colored square. I hit the vanilla color, print, then cut. That's great. I come back, I left click, drag this over, select both, click my align button. Again, this is a left click. I just want to center it, and I'm going to flatten it. So now this is one piece that will print and cut as one piece. All right. Now I've decided I want one more offset here because I wanted it in craft paper behind that. So what I did is I just hit it again, hit my offset feature one more time, hit apply. Now this time it did this. If it does that to you, all you have to do is go back and turn this into a basic cut. Go down to your right hand panels, hit contour, hide all contours, X out, and you're done. You've got it. Because we want this to be a basic cut anyway, because we're going to cut this out of craft paper. Okay, so there it is. All right. So now you've got this piece that's going to be a print and cut. that I chose to use my Copic markers and color this in. I have my piece of craft that I will layer that. Let's move on over to the card base now. Let's move these aside. This is simply a place marker because I knew I wanted to use a real ribbon there. So this is a place marker. That's all that is. This blue in the very back here, let's see if I can grab this. There we go. That is my card base that I'll just cut on my paper slicer, and I will cut that to 5.5 inches tall by 8.5 wide, and then I will fold that over, and again that will be my card base. Now I have 3 layers here. I have this top layer, I have this layer, and then I have this piece. What I wanted to do here, because the challenge was called Sentiment Down Under, so I wanted my sentiment for the card to be sort of a pattern that laid underneath these layers right here. So how I did this is I brought in this sentiment, thinking of you. And again, that's from Hello Sweet Friend. And I brought it in just one time. So let me just give you a little demo of this. All right, I'm just going to go to a different one here. I'm going to go into images, and let's say we just want the word love. Okay, I'm just choosing that randomly. So I'm in Cricut Design Space. I just want the word love. There it is. Add to canvas. All right, so I've got this word love. All right. And I'm just going to go to my keyboard. There are several ways you can do this, but for me, it's just easiest to go to my keyboard, hit Command C, Command V, Command V, Command V. Now I'm going to set these up. All right. Okay. I'm going to left click, and I'm going to group them all together by coming over here into this right panel, group. Now, all that does is just keeps them together for me, okay? And I'm just going to make it about this size, okay? Now, the next thing I'm going to do is come over here, and I am going to choose a shape. And I like this rounded corner. See how I chose the rounded here? Rounded corner here. I'm just going to slide it right on top here. I am left clicking. I'm pulling this down. Now I can take these two things, select them both by left clicking and dragging over. I'm going to go ahead and center that by hitting my align center. I'm going to change the color of this to the same color as here, this vanilla color. All right. And now I have the shape size of the window I want here. So again, this piece is going to be 4 by 5 1/4. So let's choose another shape. And let's see, I went with a square shape there. So let's go ahead and pick up the square shape. Make this quick and easy. We'll unlock and just type in at the keyboard 4 wide by 5.25 inches tall. I will decide where I want that rectangle. So there are a couple ways I can do this. I can leave this one alone and leave it here since I've already centered it. Do a Command C, Command V, or I could have just pulled it out. It didn't matter. Now I left click, select these two, move that over. Here's my slice right here. I'm going to slice that. And there we are. Easy, right? Now, I decided that I really wanted an inset here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to offset this. All right. So I've chosen it by left clicking, come up to the offset left click. I want it smaller than that. And I can make it whatever size I like there. I'm going to do a corner here. See how there's no weld here like there was before? That's because there's nothing here. It's just a shape. There's nothing, there's only one. Instead of before, remember on this, there was the watering can and then the watermark and the watermark. Whereas here, there's just the shape. That's all there is. Okay. All right. So we're going to apply that. Now, I could make it square. And if I did that, then it would make these outside corners square. Okay. But the inside, it's still going to copy that. If I do corners, see how it rounds it right there? Oops, I'm so sorry. Let me go back and pick that up. Offset. Okay. So it will make it square here instead of a corner like this. And I'll go ahead and do it that way so you can see that. All right. There we go. See how it's square right there instead of rounded? So that's the difference between those two. So now I can take this, which I'm going to go ahead and flatten that. While in editing, I noticed that I had skipped a step. So I'm going to go ahead and fill that in for you. After putting my sentiment onto the little rectangle that fits in my window, I went ahead and I flattened that on to a piece that was 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I bring in shapes. I click my unlock, resize 4.25. Actually, it's 4. I'm sorry, 4 by 5 1/4. I'm going to change that color to match. I'm going to take this piece, which is also 4 by 5 1/4. I'm going to move it to the front. I'm going to line that up. And I'll just, you know what, just to get it exact, I'll just go ahead and align it by centering. Now I'm going to bring this piece in and I'm going to move it to the front, slip it right inside that window. I'm going to move this off to the side, select these two, flatten, and now I have it so that I can just line all of this up easily. So here I am here, then I can move these two pieces, bring to the front, and then they'll sit right on top like so. And that's how I achieved that look that you're going to see next. So now let's go ahead. I'm going to take everything over to my Cricut machine. I'm going to print this piece and this piece. So these will be print and cuts. Then I will actually cut these two pieces and my craft piece that will go behind here. And I will cut this piece at my paper slicer. And then I'll meet you at the craft table and we'll put this together. So here we are at the craft table. And I just sort of have my supplies here together. I've got a couple of inks, Burn Red and Dutch Blue. These are both retired colors from close to my heart, as well as this ribbon is retired. Here's the image from Connie Fong, Sunflower Bouquet, and the little piece of craft offset that we cut. And here are the 3 layers that we talked about. I've already adhered the sentiment layer with this double-sided tape before I started the video. And here is that blue card base. Again, 5.5 by 8.5. So I'm just double checking to make sure that this did cut accurately. It's going to fit the size, and it does. And I'm pulling my little tool that I can do a little distressing on this and adding a little bit of the Dutch blue. I'm doing that around the inside and the outside. Now I'm going to go ahead and touch the burn red ink to the craft and give it a little color. And now I'll use a little bit of fabric tack and glue this onto the craft paper layer. Now, after I've done this, I will move ahead into the framework here. And again, I'm just going to lay it on there, make sure that it's going to work, and it does. The size is correct. And now I'm going to come in with the double-sided tape, and I'm just going to put one strip down. Now, I do this because it seems like, you know, I can lay something out and it looks like it's exactly square, but then I take it off, I go to redo it, and it's never the same. So when I lay it down and I like it, I just hold it with my hand the way you saw. I put one strip of the tape in to hold it in place, and then I run my glue, or I add more double-sided tape. It depends on what I'm making. On this, I wanted to use glue because the edges were just a little bit thin and I didn't want the tape to show through. So now I've got the layers done, and now it's time to have some fun and decorate. You can see the inset there, and it worked out just the way I wanted it. Now, I eat a lot of cereal, and it's a good thing because I use a lot of cereal box in my projects. I make a lot of books, and I use the cereal boxes for those. But here, I'm just using it as a dimensional piece. So I'm going to cut it and glue it to the back of this. And, you know, there's nothing fancy about it. I'm just going to cut two pieces here and line them up. I just want to make sure that the hole, there's no cereal box showing through that hole. So that's why I'm being a little bit particular about how I'm cutting it. What I will do then is adhere the two pieces of cereal box together and then adhere that to the back of the digi. Now it's time for the fun part. We get to decorate this card. I'm coming in with that ribbon that I've already tied the bow, and I've decided I want the ribbon to sort of extend out the side of the card from the back underneath the digi. I'm going to come in with some pinking shears now and just kind of give that a little decorative edge there because it's going to stick off. I'm going to use a little glue dot with this bow, so that makes it quick and easy. I just take it off the little sheet and stick it on and then stick the bow on, and they hold pretty nicely, so I like it's quick. Now I'm thinking about exactly how I want that ribbon to stick off. If I want it to stick off at an angle or go straight across, and so I just sort of play around with that a little bit. And what I do here is add a little bit of fabric tack. It doesn't matter if the glue shows through the ribbon at this point because, again, my focal element is going to go on top of that, and I'm going to glue the whole thing down. After I glue this down, you'll see that it has a little bit of dimension, and that sentiment is now down under. It's down under 1, 2, 3, 4 layers of cardstock at this point, and the ribbon. Now I'm searching through my little container of gems, and I wanted these gems to be darker, and I didn't have any darker ones, so I pulled out my Copic marker, and I'm just gonna color up these little gems. And as you can see, this works so well. I do this a lot. I color pearls and sparkle gems both. I'll go ahead and add these to my card, and now I'm working on an insert. Because my card base is dark blue, I know that I'm not going to be able to write anything on that. So what I'm doing is I'm just adding some sparkle tape. This sparkle tape is adhesive. However, I had already glued it down and I didn't like the paper I chose. So I just cut the paper and all and then just glued it back or taped it back on a paper I did like. So this finishes up our card, the sentiment down under. And I invite you to come over to Outlaws and play along with us. And I'll leave all of that information in the description box below. If you have any comments or questions for me, please feel free to leave those and I'll get back to you. See you in the next video. Bye.